So on the recruiting side, again, I go back to as soon as it was announced about Lincoln Riley going to USC, all sorts of decommits started to fall at Oklahoma. Now, some of those directly related to possibly wanting to transfer to USC, some of them just uh, decommitting because of the uncertainty at that point. Now that we've got Brent Venables in place at Oklahoma, we'll see what he's able to retain. But in terms of the USC recruiting front, just 8 days away from National Signing Day. Where do we stand, and what's the latest there?
Well, it's a wait and see situation there, but it's notable that this past weekend you might have caught ESPN's College Game Day, where Kirk Herbstreit interviewed Lincoln Riley, and it wasn't in a studio. It was Lincoln Riley was sitting in the back seat of a car on a road trip recruiting. So, like Lincoln Riley, his negligence of the handling of his coaching staff and the contractual side of that, I mean, there's no excuse for it. But just in terms of explaining where his head seems to be, his head is in recruiting. Like that's what he's throwing himself completely into right now before the start of the early signing period. Like I don't have time to be interviewed by Game Day and Herbstreit in a studio. I'm going to do it while on the road. Like I'm not wasting any time here. So USC fans are really excited about that, and they should be. It's just a thing where you should be able to line up all your ducks in a row ethically in terms of the handling of your coaching staff while also doing the recruiting. You can walk and chew gum at the same time. But anyway, that's what Lincoln Riley is really serious about: recruiting, recruiting, recruiting. So he's and with this Oregon coaching since Mario Cristobal left, so obviously a fresh new question for us to consider week is, can Lincoln Riley poach any Oregon prospects that he's particularly keen on? Like you don't just get prospects at USC, but you take them away from Eugene before the Ducks hire a new head coach. So that is obviously a significant point of interest. So like, and I don't have like a big lead on that in terms of Lincoln Riley pursuing an Oregon decommit, but it's certainly an extra new avenue for him. And John Canzano, he's the expert on Oregon football, and he said on his show, and he interviewed Mario Cristobal on Monday. Cristobal was willing to appear with him. Cristobal said, not during that interview, but he said afterwards, that there is a real discussion in Eugene about Chip Kelly. Now, what do we know about Chip Kelly from his last time at Oregon? He would recruit speedy guys from Texas. Texas was one of his main recruiting hotbeds, getting lots of athletes, bringing them up to Eugene, forming a pipeline from the Southwest up to the Northwest. So Lincoln Riley, he's recruiting Texas. He's recruiting that part of the country. He's going to try to establish, he's locking down these guys from Southern California whom he convinced to go with him to Norman. He's going to be able to steer them back to LA. We've already seen that with a couple really high profile prospects, but Riley seems to be making an emphasis on recruiting Texas and making sure that he will get his share of prospects from Texas, not only in this recruiting class, but in the years to come at USC. That seems to be a real point of emphasis. And so if Oregon does give any consideration to Chip Kelly, like this move is basically a preemptive strike by Lincoln Riley to make sure that USC leads the Pac-12 in terms of owning Texas in the world of recruiting.